Hey everybody, and welcome back. I recently learned that bald eagles gather at the Dalles Dam in the Dalles, Oregon, up in the Columbia River Gorge, about 2 hours from where I live. My first thought was, bald eagles migrate? So I guess, why not, right? They're birds. My second thought was, we better make a map about this. So that's what I did. I went out and gathered up a little bit of data and made this animated map of bald eagle migration patterns in the Pacific Northwest. This is Carto-Madness. Okay, first things first, we have to go out and get some data. So if we go to a website called movebank.org, it's a repository for everything animal migration data. Lots of sensors, lots of data sets, lots of animals. So in our case, we're looking for bald eagles. So let's go ahead and look at the tracking map. And over here on the left, we look for bald eagle. There's a bunch of studies, and this one in the Pacific Northwest that we'll take. And of course, if you go download data right there, you can get everything in shapefiles or Google Earth or whatever you want. And then let's go ahead and open up ArcPRO and zoom to our study area, which is BC from Alaska to the Pacific Northwest of the continental US. And let's change this projection to Albers, Canada, which is more appropriate for this particular project, hopefully. There it is. Let's apply. And when it comes in, yeah, I like that better. Okay, so let's change our base map to the dark gray canvas so it does not overpower our data. And through previous trial and error, I came up with 19 million as a pretty reasonable scale for this project. And so let's add our data. And these lines are the migration paths and also our sightings. There's our point data of all of our bird sightings. Let's turn off our lines for now. And if we open up our sightings attribute table, we'll see that there is 84,000 and change data points, which seems plenty. And we've got a timestamp field, but it's text, so let's make 3 new fields here. So let's go to Fields View and scroll down and add. Over here, come. Add field. Let's call that field Sight Time and make it a date field. And let's make 2 more similar, Sight Time 1 and Sight Time 2 date. Okay. So now let's populate those 3 new fields. We'll take our first one, Sight Time, and we will calculate field and just copy over our timestamp field, which turns it into a date field, which is much more usable for this. Okay, so now we want to calculate the next one, Sight Time 1. And once we calculate that, we'll use Arcade. Again, don't be afraid of Arcade. It's easy and fun. And so let's use a helper called date add. And it's, there it is. Okay, and in the parentheses, we will go ahead and add our timestamp and a comma, and we will add 4 days, comma, single quote, days, single quote. Okay, apply that. And once that's done running, we can see that we have added 4 days to our original time. And let's do that one more time for site time 2. And in this case, we will add 6 days. And this will all become clear very soon. Okay, so we have 3 new fields that make use of. So let's select all that original data, and we have to make 2 new data sets. So let's export this features, find a place for it, find a home, call it sightings 2. And do that one more time. And find a home for it, and we'll call that sightings 3. So once that's done, we'll reorder these in our table of contents to make something that makes a little more sense. Sightings 2, and then sightings 3. Okay. So for now, let's go ahead and turn off our sightings 2, sightings 3. And now we will use our time functionality and choose filter layer content based on attribute values. And we use our first newly minted site time field, and we'll apply that. And once we do, we'll see a time slider appear up here. And if we go ahead and play that quickly, we can see, oh, okay. Yep, it's showing only those data points that fall in that time slider range right there. But that's too many days. We want to make that by single days for our time. And if we, over here, if we hit days for current time, time snapping back to days, and we want to snap 1 day at a time right there. And I just classified those as unique values with a size of 8 to identify all the different individual birds in this study. So now we can take a look and see that we can now see individual birds in our study. Yeah, getting pretty cool. Yeah, we got that migration. Okay, good. That's just fine. Don't need to do the whole thing, so let's move it back. And so now, those are 8 points. So on our second one, sightings 2, this is where we make our little vapor trails along the way. So let's go ahead and monkey with this symbology a little bit. And we can make the color black. And let's make those like 80% transparent. Yeah. And those are size 4, which is half of our original symbology size. And we're going to have a no color on our outlines. Okay. Those look okay. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. Go to our time functionality and use our site time 1. And so that adds 4 days. So that will turn on 4 days after our original layer. And let's do the same thing with sightings 3. And also make that 80% black, 80% transparent black. And say OK. And make that size of 2. And of course, no color on our outline. And we also have to add our time functionality of site time 2. If we apply that. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and run that. And we can see, if we look carefully, you can see that there are little vapor trails behind each one of our data points. And at this point it looks kind of clunky, but it will smooth out significantly once we export it as a movie. So we can stop it here and move this back to the beginning. And oops, well, we stretched out our time. So let's go back and make that 1 day again. And let's lock that so it doesn't happen again. There we go. So now let's monkey with our lines. Now see, these are our migration tracks, but they are way too bright. So let's fix that, and let's make that a gradient stroke. And let's make those stops black on both ends. And let's also make those 100% transparent on both ends. There we go. And then put one right smack in the middle, 50%. And let's make that 90% transparent, so we can just barely see it. Okay, and there they are, and they're still there, but let's make those a little wider so we can actually see them. Let's make about a 7, I think. Yeah, that's pretty good. So now they're there, but they're subtle, so that's exactly what we're looking for. So now, if we turn on our animation, well, it's not animation yet, but we can see those birds flying along their migration paths. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So, okay, we know that's running, so we can go ahead and stop that. And let's move our reference layer underneath our sightings so we have our birds on top of our labels rather than underneath, and that's better. Okay. We'll take that. Slide that back to the beginning. And so now let's do our incremental save and add an animation. Now we're getting to the fun stuff. So let's turn this back to 19 million. Oops, that's 19,000. More zeros. 19 million. There we go. That's better. Like it. So now down below we have our animation keyframe. So we have to import our time slider stops, which will give us our stop motion animation for our upcoming film, our movie. But we have to change this to a reasonable time. That's 100 and something minutes. So let's turn this to 1 minute duration. 1 minute, there we go. And now, if we play our animation, again, this is making a lot of slides for our movie, our stop motion movie. So it's super clunky at this point, but not to worry. Back to the beginning. And now let's do some fun stuff, and we're just going to add some overlays, and these are easy to do, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit, and we're just going to type in bald eagle migration patterns and make it a little lighter so it kind of matches our theme, right? And move that down that direction, and let's add a time slider, time indicator, so we can get rid of all of this, because all we need is just the date, so to go with short. And there that is up there. And let's add Sam the Eagle as well, just for a little bit of visual fun. And once we make sure he's not flying into our text, that's pretty good. Great. I like it. So at this point, we're ready to export, almost ready to export, but one super key thing we have to do is all these overlays right here. We have to tell it how many frames we want it to display, each one of these overlays. In this case, all of it. So if we go to 2572, start at 1, end at 2572, and do that for all 3 of these overlays. Now those will show throughout our video. Okay, so at this point all we do is select movie, find a place for it, and set it to go. And this takes a long time because it's making a lot of slides. But through the magic of editing, I will speed this up like 200 times so we don't have to sit here and watch this together for a half hour. And once we get to the end, we can see that our animation export is finished. And we can go down here and play our video. And it works on any video player. And there we go. We can see all these different birds flying. This is the beginning of the study back in 2018. Not a whole lot of birds back then. But here's back to 19. A couple more birds in the study. And you can see in the spring and summer they go north up to southeast Alaska where all the fishing is good. And then in the wintertime they migrate back down to Vancouver, BC. Most of them do anyway, where it's warmer. Back up to southeast Alaska in the spring and summer. In the wintertime, back down. And we can see as the study progresses back into 21, now we have lots more birds in the study. And as we watch the majestic bald eagle fly back and forth to his happy hunting and fishing grounds, I'll say that please comment. I obviously don't know everything about this stuff, and if you know a better way to do it than I do, I am all ears, and I would love to hear from you, because we learn from each other, right? And I am always up for something new, especially with this GIS stuff. So, like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, all that stuff. It helps out, and it lets me know that somebody's actually watching these. And as we're finishing up with this video, I'm thinking this might be good to go into a story map. So maybe doing a video of a story map, and we can drop this newly minted bald eagle migration animation into that. So watch for that coming up one of these days soon. And I will say thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.